The yajna is about to begin. Our katha is about to begin. And so our katha is one that we would have heard many times before. But it sets the pace for all the other kathas that we would listen to in the coming nights. In the Ganesh Mahapuran, mention is made of the father and the mother of Lord Ganesh. But so too in the Shiva Mahapuran and in the Devi Bhagavad, mention is made of Lord Ganesh. Tonight our katha takes us into the depths of the Devi Bhagavatam and the depths of the Shiva Mahapuran. And so a very familiar katha, the Devatas and the Devis. Looking up on the screen, you will see the words of the katha. The Devatas and the Devis, they're making their way to a place. Where they're going to? They're going to this great grand event that they've all been invited to, like Ganesh Utsav in Palmis Park. This great event, dressed in their beautiful clothing, sitting on their various pushpak vimans, on their various vehicles and vahans, sitting on the animals that take them from place to place. They sit and making their way, they all pass close to Mount Kailash. Passing close to Mount Kailash, what will happen? Om Gam Ganapataye Namah. Sutta ki vachana sunat man bai, Uma chalate ki skindhan hani, Hai hoti hai giri par ugaya, Sunaha tap jaya su kaha bhaya. Marching, making their way, sitting on their various vehicles, they all march and they're going to this grand event that they invited to. You and I love when we are invited. And you and I sometimes we're invited so much times that we have to turn down the invitations that are given to us. The Devatas, they're all beautifully dressed and they're making their way to this place where they're invited. Tonight, when we dress ourselves on the outside, we must be sure and certain to dress ourselves on the inside. Tonight, when we fast and we starve our bodies, we must remember to starve the qualities within us of lust and anger and hatred and jealousy. With God, all things are possible, but goodly, godly people do not remain angry forever. Goodly, godly people may get vexed, but they never remain angry forever. Sitting on their vahans and passing, they all passing over this place called Mount Kailash. And passing over this place, what will happen? Listen, it tells us. Yaha vidhi kala biti kachage sunabhu pagaje sahabehu ek samay nij dhara nidhari ubaraha kinhe girija kumari. They pass over this place called Mount Kailash, and passing there, they summon the attention of Parvati Devi, who is now Sati. She is not Parvati as yet. They summon the attention of Sati Devi. And Sati Devi, she looks at Lord Shiva and she shakes him. And she says, "Oh Lord Shiva, all of the Devatas and all of the Devis, they're going to some event. How come we're going nowhere? Why were we not invited?" Have you ever heard or saw something taking place that you were not invited to and you wish you could have gone? So too Sati Devi sitting there. Sati Devi looks at Bhagavan Shankar. "Hey Bholenath, hey Pashupati, please, I am begging you, can we too accompany the Devatas and the Devis?" And Lord Shiva, what will he say? Lord Shiva says, "We were not invited, O Sati." And Sati, hearing the words of Bhagavan Shankar, what will happen? Listen. Tanukarami tarjo chuta ai bhulara haso utaman kaha kinhe vichara balakarachi kaha kinho हृदयहनन्तः तन संजीवो करहु भगवन् करहु भगवन् करहु भगवन् करहु भगवन्. She looks at Lord Shiva and she says, Lord Shiva, can we please go? And Lord Shiva, hearing the words of Sati, Lord Shiva says, without even thinking, he says, Sati, no, we will not go. Have you ever wanted company to do something and everybody who is in your company refuse? Have you ever gone to the beach and you go with the intention of bathing? You walk with your clothes and you walk with everything. And then everybody else who accompanies you say they're not bathing, so you have no choice but not to bathe as well. So too Sati Devi, she says, oh Lord Shiva, can we go? And Lord Shiva says, no Sati, we were not invited and so we will not go. And Sati, placing her hands together, Sati, Tanahu Sanjeevan Karahu Bhagavan, Tanahu Sanjeevan Karahu Bhagavan. Jai Gananatau Jai Shri Ganesha, Jai Gananatau Jai Shri Ganesha. Lord Shiva refusing to accompany Sati Devi. Sati Devi, she begins to cry. No good husband wants to see his wife crying. No good husband wants to make his wife unhappy. No good person wants to make anybody unhappy, well, intentionally. And so Sati Devi crying, Lord Shiva looks at her and Lord Shiva says, why cry, O Sati? Do you know there are some people they cry for everything and nothing too? There's some people they only have to hear something that sounds sad and they begin to cry. They only see somebody else crying and they begin to cry. They look at the movie and in the middle of the movie they're crying because their emotions are overwhelmed by what they're seeing. Sati Devi, crying and crying and crying. What will happen? Lord Shiva does something. Listen, it tells us. Hari Chita Sobhayahi Narisha Gananaya Katanahi Kahakidha Pravisha Hatanaya Hashish Karapesu Jabadin Kin Hasanji Rampati Hu Jai Gananatau Jai Shri Ganesha Jai Gananatau Jai Shri Ganesha. Sati Devi, she looks at Lord Shiva and she says, Lord Shiva, you have advised me not to go, but I'm already dressed and what I'm wearing seems to be very appropriate. And so I don't have a problem. With or without your permission, I'm going to follow the Devatas and the Devis. With or without your permission, I'm going to follow the Devatas and the Devis. Have you ever asked somebody's opinion, though you already know? You stand up in front of the mirror for an hour and look at yourself to make sure you're looking nice. And then you walk outside and you look at everybody and you say, how am I looking? But you already know. You have already identified that you're looking good. But you still want the opinion of those around. And then one will say, put your hair on the other side. One will say, put your shawl the other way. One will say, change your shoes. The other one will say, change your pants. And everybody will have a different opinion. But you have already made up your mind. And you have already decided that this is what I'm going to do. You have already decided this. And so Sati Devi deciding, what will happen? We join in this beautiful bhajan as Naraji sings for us. And so Sati Devi, she's about now, against the wishes of Lord Shiva, to follow the Devatas and the Devis. What will happen? The Katha will tell us. Ganesha Bhagavani ki Jai.
Pahi pahi Gajanana Parvati Nanda Gajanana
Pahi pahi Gajanana
Sati Devi looks at Bhagwan Shankar and she says, Lord Shiva, though I was not invited, I've already made up my mind and I've decided that I will go. I'm already dressed. Have you ever heard of somebody going to some place and you figure, well, you're already there and you're already wearing good enough clothes, so you'll just accompany? Have you ever done that before? We all Trinidadians are guilty of that. Sati Devi has decided that she will go with or without the permission of Lord Shiva. And deciding this on her own, Sati Devi, she makes her way. Where is she going? Listen, it tells us. Hari chita sobeyahi narisha gananayak tanahi kahakinha pravisa hatathatanashis parapeshu jabakinha kin sanjeevamahi ho संजीवन रामा पटत बही सब संजी राम पटत बही जय गणनाथ जय श्री गणेशा जय गणनाथ जय श्री गणेशा. She decided that she will go, and she decided that she'll make her arrangements by herself, and she decided that she'll have no more discussions with Lord Shiva. Have you ever decided that you'll have no discussions with a person before? And then you can't help it. You have to talk to the person you're vexed with. Wife, you're vexed with your husband. But then you go to sleep on the same bed and he says something to you, good night. What will you say? You say, what is so good about the night? Sati Devi, she has decided that she'll make her own arrangements and she will go on her own. And Sati Devi, leaving the company of Bhagwan Shankar, Sati Devi makes her way, only to realize that the Devatas and the Devis, they're going to the home of the father of Sati. Only to realize that it is the father of Sati who is hosting a function, and he has not invited Sati Devi. You and I will think that when our relatives and our family, they're having an event, we don't need an invitation. Sometimes you are not invited because of what? Many different reasons. So when you are not invited, then don't be too quick to go. Some people say to you, anything you see that we have, you don't need an invitation, just come. Have you ever heard that before? Just come, you don't need an invitation. Sati Devi, what will happen? Sati Devi realizing this, Sati Devi, listen, the beautiful Doha tells us this evening. Tanaya Sanjeevana Deka Mana Arataba Kahakina Mana Andana Tabakin Atagaya Sutta Ho As Sati Devi makes her way, she enters, and Sati Devi realizes that her father, he is ushering and he is welcoming everybody, and he is placing them in their various seats to sit. And so Sati Devi, seeing him, Sati Devi smiled. And when Sati Devi smiled with her own father, he never smiled back in return. Have you ever seen a person who is so vexed that they wouldn't smile? Have you ever gotten so angry that somebody smiled with you and you refused to smile? We all Trinidadians, talk the truth. Sati Devi, she looked at her father and she smiled. She uttered no words, and her father never responded. And so Sati Devi looked at him and she says, "Oh Pita, tell me, You have invited all devatas and all devis. Show me the place that you have consecrated for Lord Shiva and myself. And so I will go and I will sit there very quietly. And the father of Sati says, what place are you talking about? O Sati, you were not invited. And so there is no place prepared or designed for you to sit. And so Sati Devi, hearing these words, Sati Devi, she looked around and she looked for a place to sit. Have you ever gone to a function or a place and there are no more seats, so you look for a place to sit? And you just sit anywhere. If you are early, you can come up to the front. But if you are late, you'll find a place anywhere where nobody will see you. You will sit anywhere so that you will not disturb and nobody will see you. So Sati Devi, she looked around for a place to sit and there was no place vacant. And Sati Devi wondered, what must I now do? Daksha looked at Sati and he says, oh Sati, I have not invited you and so I have not made any preparations for you, O Sati. And Sati, there is no place